Dr. Ford truly is giving very compelling testimony. I think the story she describes is awful, but the evidence seems clearer and clearer that Judge Kavanaugh did not have anything to do with it. We continue, after her whole testimony, to have zero evidence, zero corroboration of her story at the time. Everyone who she claims was there says Brett Kavanaugh was not at this party. Her friend Leland says, I didn't even know Kavanaugh, I don't think, at the time. And we're seeing a lot of kind of vacillating and shifting testimony as well, suggesting that her memory over this 36 years may not be as good as people think. So I think it's at the end of the day, it's still very clear to me that all of the evidence points to Judge Kavanaugh in his very clear denial that he has anything to do with it. I think that is clearly the result.
It looks like her testimony is wrapping up, Carrie, as we watch, as she's actually getting out of the seat right now. When you say that that the weight of the evidence leans towards Judge Kavanaugh, how do you account for the fact that her recollections of the names of the two young teenagers who were allegedly in the room is very, very clear? And why hasn't and should the Judiciary Committee subpoena the other man who was supposedly in the room, Mark Judge?
Well, I think her memory has been very spotty here and there. She says she's quite certain of that, but there's a lot of things, including who else was there, that she's given different stories to different outlets and on different occasions, including her testimony today. There's a lot of things she still doesn't know where exactly it was, how she got there and back, where she was that day, etc. I think the Judiciary Committee has also done an extensive amount of interviews themselves. They tried to reach out and interview, they'd interviewed obviously all the people she named. They tried to interview her, and one other interesting thing that's come out is it seems she's been very poorly served by both the Democrats and the Judiciary Committee and her lawyers. It did establish in her testimony the Democrats were the only ones who had her letter, and therefore was to be the ones who leaked it against her wishes to the press. That is a real travesty, because it's had huge personal implications for her. And on several occasions, it came out that her lawyers had apparently not consulted with her on important aspects of how her testimony would go. So she said she really would have liked to do the testimony in California and was disappointed it couldn't happen that way. But it was widely reported, and Senator Grassley offered to send people anywhere that was convenient for her, and her lawyers rejected that out of hand. She said today, I would have been happy to go to talk to the Judiciary Committee staffers. In the meantime, her lawyers rejected that as well. So that is concerning, that there seems to be a disconnect between her own interests and what her lawyers have been doing in this process.
Carrie, I know we have to wrap this up, but just to play devil's advocate, what if you're not right? What if, in fact, Judge Kavanaugh was there and did play a part in some of this?
Well, I think that, again, that is not what the evidence shows at all. Obviously, what she has alleged here is very serious, and if it were true that Judge Kavanaugh were involved, should be taken very seriously. But the evidence does not point to that at all. We have one decades-old allegation that, despite recurrent attempts to corroborate it, we have not been able to corroborate it. None of the eyewitnesses she claims are there think that it happened as she describes. They say Brett Kavanaugh wasn't there. On that kind of uncorroborated and in many cases discredited account, we cannot smear a man's reputation who is one of the most respected and accomplished jurists in this country on such a thin record.